Hello everyone, I have some crazy content coming, so buckle up. I'm M23 and August 2017 I was in a bar and I ran into an old friend. I was talking to her and she had my hand on my shoulder and we were flirty etc. Her friend came out of nowhere and kicked me in the balls as hard as she could, for no reason. Apparently she's a mean drunk and thought I didn't know the girl I was speaking to and was trying to protect her. I hit the ground immediately and I couldn't breathe and everyone was staring at me and didn't know what to do. I was just dying on the ground for a few minutes, when the bouncer basically dragged me out and the girl I was talking to was just apologizing. My balls ducking killed so much so I immediately Ubered it to the hospital and turns out my left testicle ruptured, popped, from the kick, but since I went to hospital ASAP they were able to operate and save it rather than having to remove it. But it is still going to have less functionality from now on. Obviously I was extremely pissed and I filed a police report and thankfully the cops took it very seriously and got video footage from the bar, eyewitness accounts, statements from everyone including the girl who kicked me. The girl reached out to me numerous times and apologized but I didn't care, I wanted her in jail. The police told me they've gathered enough evidence to charge her and that due to the video and witness statements the charges will stick but it will be up to the judge on how harsh of a punishment she will get. They suggested that she will get a light punishment because she's a straight A student, never been in trouble, parents are wealthy and she has retained a great lawyer, also she's a white 20-year-old girl so that plays a huge part. The cops recommended I just take a written and verbal apology from her and her lawyer contacted me and told me she wants to become a teacher so she won't be able to become a teacher if she has a criminal record and he gave me her written apology in advance hoping to sway my mind. I rejected all of this and pushed on towards charges. About 2 years later she was convicted and she spent about 3 weeks in jail, paid a fine, and has community service and most importantly she has a criminal record and now can't be a teacher. She contacted me many times before the charges were laid and begged me to drop them saying she was just drunk and never hurt anyone before and it was a mistake, but she literally popped my ball for no reason and for that she had to pay. Warning, the following contains graphic details of various kinds of bodily harm. My revenge came in 2 parts, one petty, and one pro. If that bothers you, skip the background and just read the revenge. The backstory, when I was 19 or 20, I'm 25 now, I met a guy on Tinder. Let's call him Brad. Brad and I didn't get off to a great start, but I had no idea how bad it was going to get. At first it just seemed we were incompatible, as he was pushy and rude and I take no poop. If it had stopped there, I wouldn't be here right now. But it didn't stop there. Once I made it clear that I found Brad repulsive and wanted nothing to do with him, his messages took a turn. He threatened to stalk, sexual assault, kidnap and murder me, along with some gory details about gouging out my eyes and defiling my corpse. Particularly disturbing was his explicit desire to strangle me and watch the life leave my eyes. He also managed to find my home address, 3 hours away from the city we were in, and threatened to come find me. As a side note, it was my dad's house and some small part of me wanted to see exactly how badly it would turn out for him if he showed up there. Of course, I warned my dad and gave him a picture of the guy. I also took screenshots of everything he sent me. The petty, being a young woman with no idea whether this madman would actually go to lengths to find me, I called the cops. When they came, they looked at the messages, told me it constituted terroristic threat, but also told me there wasn't much they could do unless Brad actually showed up. They did take down his details, including where he worked, which is listed in his bio. This will be important later. From what I understand, the cops went to Brad's workplace to speak to him, and he refused, so they left. Nothing ever came of it. For the second part of the petty, I found his Facebook. Again, don't put your freaking workplace on all of your social media. I snooped around and managed to find a couple of his family members. I sent them all the screenshots along with an explanation of what happened. I didn't hear back for a few days, but when I did it was from Brad's mom. She apologized profusely on behalf of her son and told me they were driving in from Brad's hometown 3 states away to confront him. She asked me not to warn him of this in advance, and obviously I agreed. I don't know what became of this, but I hope he got a good, Southern-style donkey whoopin'. Now, for the pro, a few years later, when Brad probably thought he was in the clear, something jogged my memory of what he did and I decided it was time for him to face some actual consequences. I made a Facebook post including his picture and bio, all of the screenshots, and a message warning people in our area and asking them to share it around so other women would know what they were dealing with. 2 days later, Facebook took it down, but the damage had already been done. 3K shares and many messages later, all of that information had made its way to his company's Facebook page. From what I understand, they were absolutely flooded with messages about Brad and his behavior. They responded with a stock message about how they were dealing with it according to their policies. This was disheartening, as I assumed they were just going to blow it off. By this point, Brad had been working for them for at least 4 years. However, I soon learned this was not the case. Several women from his company messaged me to thank me for coming forward and exposing the kind of person they were working with. It was through one of these women that I found out what happened to good old Brad. He was called into a meeting with his boss, HR, and the CEO of the company. As a side note, this is a multinational company and the CEO is a woman. They did not take the situation lightly. Within 2 days of posting on Facebook, Brad had been fired and escorted off the premises by armed security. In the end, Brad got what he deserved, and now he has a massive blank spot on his resume, as this company was his first job out of college and he can no longer get a letter of recommendation from them. As far as what became of him, I don't know. I never heard from him again, though I did get a message from his grandma telling me that what I was doing is illegal. Lol. Not my revenge, but I witnessed it. Back in 2004 we had those big plastic round garbage bins in our back alley, about 6 of them down every alley in my neighborhood. They were huge, about 4 foot tall, 4 foot wide at the top. They got emptied every Thursday around 8 in the morning. I lived half a block down the alley from the local bar, and every few weeks I'd go out in the morning to see all the bins knocked down. Some drunk idiot was driving his beater home around the time the bar closed at 2 a.m. I figured he was hitting them on purpose just for laughs. Once winter came, the plastic got more brittle and every bin that was hit got cracked and or destroyed. The city never did anything other than just replace the bins, but it would take a few weeks and it was irritating to have to pick them up all the time or use a farther away bin cause the nearby one was toast. So this continued for months, and winter gets cold here in Canada. We had a solid week of -40. One Saturday night I saw red and blue lights flashing through my curtains, walked out to see a completely totaled mid-80s Buick wrapped around a bin. One of my neighbors decided to fill the bin with water, which froze into a solid block of ice. I don't know for sure which neighbor did it, but they are absolute heroes in my mind. Guy got arrested, so I assume he was charged with drunk driving at the least. Tow truck took away what was left of the car, but the bin stayed there for a couple months as a monument to stupidity filled with ice cause it was too heavy to move and also wasn't in the least bit damaged by the collision. This happened in the mid-80s while I was active duty Air Force. I was a sergeant, E4, my direct supervisor was a technical sergeant, E6. This technical sergeant, Rob, not his real name, was a real jerk. He was about 5'10" and a beanpole. He lived on coffee and cigarettes, and thinking of ways to bully subordinates. Well, in addition to being a jerk, Rob had a very nasty sense of humor. He could dish it out but couldn't take it. We had these old metal desks with plexiglass covering the tops. He started in on me with super gluing my coffee cup to the plexiglass top. Needless to say, when I went to pick up the cup, everything went everywhere. Of course the whole office laughed hysterically. I didn't blame them, nobody wanted to be Rob's target. Next he moved my car to another parking lot. Right before I called the security police, he told me where my car was. He kept it up, not just me either, but the whole office, till one day he went too far. We had just got a new captain assigned to our branch. He was a nice man, quiet, kind, and earned all of our respect. He heard about all the crap Rob pulled and witnessed a few of the milder pranks. Then Rob got nastier. I went out to the parking lot at the end of the day and my car, a little Civic, was up in blocks. I almost had a stroke. Rob went too far. Granted, the captain made Rob put my tires back on, and read him the riot act. Back in the 80s the atmosphere was much more relaxed, i.e., you could get away with more. The captain and I decided that I should get my revenge. My revenge had to be carefully thought out, and I had to cover my donkey as Rob could destroy my career. First, the captain changed my reporting official, supervisor, to himself. This was to prevent Rob from writing me a horrible, or mediocre, Airman Performance Report, APR. The timing was important as Rob had just written my annual report, so the change in reporting official wouldn't trigger another April. Then I went to the base hospital and got a few letterheads from a friend in the environmental health office. The environmental health office was the office that handled all the reports of STIs and did all the mandatory interviews. I had to swear on my unborn children's heads that this wouldn't get back to them. The captain and I went to work on a letter scheduling a date for Rob to be interviewed as a confirmed contact of someone that was positive with a STI. This was going to hit Rob hard. You see, he thought the world of himself. According to him, he was his wife's master and he ruled the house and his kids. He never had any other woman but his wife, who, according to him, worshipped the ground he walked on. Also, she would even leave the house to buy groceries without letting him know, asking permission. I sort of believed him on that one as she called the office several times a day. Well, the letter was written and placed in the afternoon distribution. The captain made sure he was standing right next to Rob when he opened his official mail. Rob was a creature of habit and always stood right by his distribution tray to read his mail, coffee and cup and cigarette in hand. I was sitting at my desk watching. I swear Rob turned white and I could hear him say something to the captain. I could see the captain reading the letter Rob handed him, so I moved a bit closer, not a huge office, and heard the captain say, "Well, Rob, have you been horsing around?" Rob, of course, was denying this, like really, who would touch him? Yuck, and kept saying, "I can't believe this." It wasn't until a few minutes later when Rob went to grab a phone, to call his wife, that the captain said, "Wait, Rob." He, the cap, looked at me and said, "Do you think this is enough?" The captain and I both busted out laughing. Everyone in the office was looking around confused and asking what was so funny. Neither the captain or I would tell anyone what was going on. Rob knocked over the distribution boxes, threw his car key and started having a fit. The captain stopped Rob's fit and basically told him, quietly, that he deserved what he got and he ordered Rob to stop with the pranks. Thank God I had thought about changing my reporting official because Rob would have roasted me. Not much later I volunteered for an overseas assignment. It seemed the prudent thing to do. My revenge did get around eventually, within the upper ranks. It seemed to be a consensus that Rob got what he deserved. What did you think? What would you have done differently? Share your opinions in the comments. And if you enjoyed the stories, slap that like and subscribe button for more of them, and don't forget to support the original writers with an upvote. Links are in the description. Peace out, and catch you tomorrow.